Welcome all. Today in this session, I'm going to tell you about the object class in Java. So first question is that what is object class in Java? So you can say the object class is actually the parent of all the classes. And in the other word, it is the topmost class of the Java here. So now to understand this thing, let me show you this thing that in my project, I've created a class that is class underscore A. This is class A and it contains a method display, and our other class that is called class B is contains a method welcome here. So now in class A, I will do one thing. I will create a main method here, and in the main method, I will create the object of my this class A and see that what is happening here. So I'm creating the object of class A like class underscore A. This is the name of my class, and let me say A equal to new class underscore A. So I'm creating the object of my class. So this is the name of the class and this is my object. So I created this object. So after creating the object, if I will say A dot, so I'm saying that A dot, you are able to see that I'm getting so many functions here. My class contains only one function that is called display. Okay, in my class A, I have only one function that is display, and this main function is actually used to run your class. So in simple words, we have only one function in my class A. But why I'm getting so many methods like clone method is there, display is there. Display, I know that this is a part of my, but clone method, equal method, finalize method, get class method, hashcode method, notify all, toString, wait. How these other than the display method, how these methods are visible here? Because these methods are not part of my class A. Okay, so now you have seen, let me show you, I will give the answer for that. But before that, let me show you another thing. This is my class A. Now I will go to class B. Same thing I will do in my class B. I will create a main method here. And in my main method, I'm going to create an object of class B here. So let me create an object of class B here. So class B equal to B, and I'm saying that new class B. So I created the object of class B here. So when I will make a B dot, I am expecting the function from my B class like B dot. When I'm expecting, so I understand I'm getting the function clone, just forget about that. But see one thing especially here, I'm only getting the function welcome here. This is which is welcome. You can say this welcome function is appearing here. We are not able to see the function. What function we are not able to see? Display, because display function is available in my class A. Okay, and we are not able to see this function in my class B object. But we can do one thing. We know that if you have already learned the concept of inheritance, you know that I can make a class B as a parent of class B. Okay, I can make a class A as a parent of class B. How? Extends, and I can say class A. When I'm going to write this thing, you can see what will happen. Now all the functions which are available in the class A, that will be available in the class B also. And the proof is that if I'm going to do B dot, this time you will able to see display function is also available here and welcome function is also here. So why display function is available in my class B? Because class A, now after writing the syntax extend class A becomes the parent of class B. So that's why all the functions which are available in the class A, that will be available in the class B. Okay, so now if you focus and apply the same rule here, like I told you that object class is the parent of all classes. If you apply the same rule here, you can see here by default object classes, by default every object class, by default object class contains all the methods that will be available in each and every class. So you can say actually you are able to see like in the class A, if I'm going to say A dot, so these methods clone, equals, finalize, these methods are actually available in a object class. And because I told you by default object class is a parent of every class, so that's why these functions are available here. Like in case of B, the functions of A are available here. So if we don't need to write this code, by default it is written here that A class A extend object. So this is, you don't need to write here. Actually you don't need to write here. That is, you can say by default written in Java that by default every class extends object class. Every class extend object class, that is by default. You don't need to write it. That is inbuilt applicable in the Java. So that's why every class, if you take the example of class A, I'm creating these clone object, these functions are available here. Same, these functions are available in the class B also. Let me write class B dot here. So you can say not only this class, every class every class contains these methods because these methods are inherited from the object class. Okay, so this is the main concept of the object class. Now we will come to the second point. Now the second point is that object class can be used as a common data type. So how object class can be used as a common data type? For that, let me take the example of my Pradeep class. I will do one thing. Usually what you do, whenever you need a string data, string variable, you create a string and you say str and you just put any string value here like this one. So here, what is the type of data? This is string data. So that's why you have taken the string as a class. In the same way, I can, if I want to store any integer value, I will write integer and I will say a variable and I will write suppose 6. So here you can say for storing the integer string, you need a string data type. For storing an integer value, you need an int data type. And for storing, you can say decimal, you need a float data type. Like you can say 6.7. So usually we use it, but here usually we don't use it. What concept I'm going to tell you, but here you can say that why I'm saying that object class can be used as a common data type. Here you can say for every data type string, for string you are using a string, for 6 you are using int, for decimal you are using float. But I can do one thing, I can use object for it because I told you object is a common data type. So for any type of data which you want to store, the variable type or reference type, you can make it object. Okay, what is the use of this? I will discuss in the future. Okay, but this is the concept that object class can be used as a common data type. Now, the third thing is that object class contains some common method which is useful for all the you can say objects, such as object can be compared, object can be cloned, object can be notified. So most of functions are available in the object class and they are useful. That's why these functions are by default inherited in each and every class, like I shown you. Okay, let me take the example of Pradeep class also. This is my Pradeep class. In the Pradeep class, I'm going to create an object of Pradeep, like Pradeep P1 equal to new Pradeep. So I'm creating an object of Pradeep class also. So you can say this class do not contain any method, but you know that every class is a you can say child of a object class. So this class is also by default. So if I will say P1 dot, you will say all the methods which are available in the object class that are appearing in. So again, the summary is that object class is the parent of all classes. So every function which is available in the object class, that is by default available in the every class, whether it is an inbuilt class like a string or any class, or it is a custom class which is designed by us. Okay, so this is you can say object class. Now you will see here. Now we see here that as I told you about the methods here, so many methods are there, like get class method, hashcode method, equal method, clone method, toString. So these are so many methods which are available in the you can say object class, and these methods are utilized by every class. So that's why they are available in the every class. But here we are going to discuss about the only important functions of the object class, like hashcode, equals, and toString method. These are the very important functions which are used by the you can say mostly developers. Okay, so and in automation also we can utilize it. So that's why I'm covering here. So now what is the you can say first is the method that is called the hashcode method. So you can say the first method we are going to discuss, that is hashcode. So what is hashcode? Hashcode method is actually it returns you can say a hashcode value, which is nothing, an integer value which is related to an object, which is related to so you can say for every object it you can say it generates an integer value and returns to us. So for example, if I'm creating P1 here, so let me write P1 dot. So it contains a method P1 dot hashcode. So when I'm going to call this method P1 dot hashcode, you can see it will return a value. Let me store int and you can say P1 hashcode. So as I told you, it returns a value for a particular object. So I created a P1 object, then I'm returning the hashcode here, and let me print it here. So I'm printing here SYSO, and I will say that P1 hashcode. So in the same way, I will do one thing. Let me create another object, like let me create another object. So let me copy this code and let me put it here. So I'm creating another object. This is P2. This is P2 hash code. This is P2 dot hash code, and this is P2 hash code. Now let me run it and see that what is printed here for P1 hash code and P2 hash code. Whenever I'm going to run it, it is printing, you can say, two values here. So let me drag it here, console here. So it is printing the value, this one. So this is the hash code. integer value which is associated with the p1 object, and this is the integer value which is associated with the hash code. Actually, it is actually whenever any object is created, it creates or generate a hash code value for that object. Okay, what is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of that? We will learn in the, you can say, in the after some time. Okay, so now this is the first thing. Second thing is that you can say another important method is that is called equal method. So what is the use of equal method? Actually, you can say equal method is used. Equal method is used to check whether some other object is equal to this one or not. So in case of, you can say, let me use this method. So instead of this one p1 hash code, let me call the method, you can say, p1 dot. Let me use the method p1 dot equals. So I'm calling this one p1 dot equals, and here I pass the let me do one thing for this purpose. Let me create two objects. Control X, and here I'm creating two objects here. Even if two objects are here, and let me do one thing. I'm just trying to call the p1 with the help of p1. I'm calling the object and passing the another object that is called p2. So when I'm calling this method, actually this method returns the boolean value. So here I'm saying that boolen boolean, and let me give the variable name meaningful, like you can say equal. Okay, so equal. So let me print this value. So you can say whenever you are using the p1 dot equals, means you are using the equal method. That equal method is also coming from the, you can say, coming from the object class. So this is the object class method. Let me run it. So let me run it and see that what is going to print it. So you can say it is printing here false. Maybe you are thinking that it should not return the false because we have p1 object and p2 object. Let me take the example of another class. We have another class, like you can say student class also. So if I will create the object of student class also, how many properties are there? We have three properties. So let me show you with the help of this one also. I'm creating the object of student class also. Let me do. So instead of that, let me create student S1 I'm creating, and new student. So if I'm creating the object of a student class, the student class, now you can say I'm assigning some values to my object like roll number. Let me put roll number equal to 5. Okay, and let me write S1 dot name equal to, suppose I'm writing Pradeep, and let me write S1 dot school name equal to, suppose take the example. Let's make automation easy. So I've created one object and I put some values here. S1 student roll number 5, then name Pradeep. Then in the same way, let me create another object. And in that case also, I will do one thing. I'm saying that S2 object I've created, and I'm creating S2 dot roll number, S2 dot name, S2, and you can see here. Okay, so let me do one thing. I'm just putting some different value like 5 equal roll number equal to 6, name equal to, you can say Pradeep. Instead of Pradeep, let me write Ritesh, and school name, suppose take the example I'm writing prefer me. So now let me try to compare here. I'm trying to compare S1 dot equals S2. So now let me run this program and see what answer you are getting in the console. You are getting the false. We are getting the false. Maybe you are understanding that, okay, for the first object, the values are different, and the second object, the values are different. So let me do one thing. Let me create the same value. So for S1, the roll number is 5, S2 roll number is 5. For S2, S1 name is Pradeep, for S2 name is Pradeep. For S1 school name is Let's Make Automation, for S2 school name. Now, if you are expecting that if I will compare it and if you'll give the answer true, so let me show you, it is not giving the answer true because that is by default. That is by default written in the object class. So now the question is that why it is not returning the true? Because in the object class, this method actually compare the references of the two objects. It compares the references of the two objects, means in the memory, this object is created at different memory location. Okay, this object is created at one memory location and this object is created at different memory location. So the addresses of S1 and address of S2 both are different. So that's why if you are giving the values of these objects S1, S2 same, but still they are treated as a different object, because in the equal method what happens that it compares the references, it compares the addresses, as an address of S1 object and S2 object are different. So that's why it is returning the false. Okay, so when you can say when you should what is the use of you can say most of the time you will see that in your coding developer mainly override the equal method, and when they override the equal method they also override the hash code method. So actually what is the need of equal method, override equal method and hash code, and what is the way to override it, that we will learn in my next video. Okay, and the link of that video I will provide in the description of this video. Okay, so now you have learned about the, you can say, equal method. That equal method is used to compare the addresses of two objects by default. Now the third method which is important, that is called toString method. What is the use of toString method? So you can say whenever I'm creating the object, let me take the example of, you can say, S1. I created S1 object, I created the you can say S2 object. So I will do one thing. Let me do one thing. Let me try to print the S1 object. So when I'm trying to print the S1 object, so you can say it will run and print the something like that. So actually you can say when I'm printing S1 object, and let me try to print the S2 object also. So whenever I'm trying to print the S1 object, S2 object, it is actually not giving any meaningful information. What you can say what this toString method returns. Actually, I told you that this method returns the string representation of the object, and you can say the default behavior is that it actually returns the name of the class and then at the rate the unsigned hexadecimal representation. So it returns a name of the class at the rate some hexadecimal code related to the hash code. So you can see here it is returning student at the rate, and this is some hex code here. For the second object S2, it is returning the name of the class at the rate some hex code. So this is the default behavior of the, you can say, object class, you can say toString method. So now the question is that in the object class, these methods are written here and the default behavior I've already told you. But whenever you are going to create your own class, you need to override it. You need to override it. And why we override it, what is the use of that, that we learn in my next video. Okay, so now if you want to get the these type of uh, useful videos on other topics, like you can say Selenium, JMeter, Cucumber, Jira, so many things, then you can subscribe to my channel. Now if you like this video, you can click on the like button. If you have not subscribed my video till now, you can subscribe it. Thank you.